No, I continue to stand with Israel. I think they've been a little heavy-handed in some of the civilian population
Yeah, but you
areas in
like that,
Palestine.
eh?
But I'll tell you
like
what
that,
else.
eh, Kyle?
I like what they're doing in Lebanon. Bombing. Dude, we keep talking about the walkie-talkies and the cell phones. That was only like 4,000 people that got blown up. They're bombing constantly in Lebanon, and every day it's like 100 dead or something.
Well,
and every day they're like, they got a guy's picture, and they're like, this guy was third in command. It's like, you killed the third in command like 8 times this week.
I know. That's the new third in command.
Can you imagine the promotion? Like, Hamid, I got some good news.
You're like,
some bad
what
news.
about this photo? That was a very dangerous child.
Wait, the thing is though,
baby face terror.
Before it's what sucks for them is it's not judged equally because the attempts by Lebanon, by Hezbollah specifically, not Lebanon, Hezbollah, the attempts by them are multitudes exponentially higher than Israel's response. So since October 7th, Hezbollah shot 9,000 rockets at Tel Aviv. Now it's so easy to be like, I don't want my money paying for bombs in Israel. And like, I totally get that. But you don't actually always pay for bombs. Like you might not be paying for a bomb.
Their healthcare.
Your tax money actually prevents a genocide in many ways because 9,000 rockets does equal 1 million deaths. If you shot 9,000 rockets and you get 100 people with each rocket, and this is a very populated part. It's the whole country. The country's small. This is 1 million people. They wanted to kill 1 million people when they shot rockets at Tel Aviv.
They blew up that playground like a month ago and killed all these children.
Yeah. But the thing is, they stop all of these, so they're ineffective. But they wanted to, so they do that, and then it kills one child. So what they do is they drop a bomb in Beirut, which is like, yo, that's fucked up, dude. And it's like, well, yeah, you shot 9,000 at our capital. We just happened to hit you. And in fact, we hit one guy. We hit one person. We chose one person and killed that guy. If Israel shot 9,000,
like hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point of innocents are being killed in Beirut, right?
Okay, innocents.
I think there's a lot. I feel so bad.
Dude,
Beirut is not Afghanistan. They've got like bars and like nightlife.
Oh, do you think
like
they're hitting the good part of town where the bars and the nightlife are? I bet there's some parts of St. Louis where I could drop a 2,000 bomb and mostly hit criminals.
But I won't argue with you.
I feel bad. I feel bad for Lebanon, but like
the rubble, the dogs would sniff for days before they found an innocent.
A main difference, though, is when you live in Lebanon and Israel's like, leave this area, we're about to bomb it, you can go. In Palestine, they weren't allowed to go. Hamas was like, stay the fuck there. You're going to die for this shit, and it's going to be good for Palestine. Like, this is a bit different.
But that's not any more fair than the Lebanese government, or Hezbollah rather, not the Lebanese government. Hezbollah saying, oh, Israelis, get out of this area. We're sending rockets. It's like, well, they shouldn't have to leave. Like, they're living there. Like those people in Beirut.
But they target Tel Aviv on purpose. They never, ever said leave. No one has ever said to anyone in the Middle East, leave before we bomb it, except for Israel. Not a single country there has ever said, leave, we're about to bomb it.
But wait. I think all Palestine says is leave.
Yeah, that's all that most of these Middle Eastern countries, if we're just coming at it from their perspective, all of their positions are leave.
Leave what?
Like leave the Middle East. We don't want you to be here. That's what. Not saying that's right or wrong.
Is like, hey, point. I want you to leave your country. Everyone's like,
no. I'm saying Israel's like,
I heard every word, but
yeah, they're like, leave this area. We are bombing this area of your country. Don't be there. Everyone else who's like, well, you leave.
They give a neighborhood.
If you tell Israel to leave, if everyone in Israel, you have to get up and go. There's nowhere for those people to go. You understand that, right? There's not a single country that I'm allowed in all around there.
In Canada.
Right. As a Jew with Israel stamped on my passport, I would never fly over Syria because God forbid they have to do an emergency landing. I don't ever want to be there.
This is just a silly argument. Jews live in every Western country just fine.
Okay. So if it's river to the sea, how does an Israeli leave Israel? Where do they go? let's say Palestine is free, Israel's gone. Where is
answer.
he going? Yes.
New Jersey. I was there.
New York.
They've done it before.
It's very difficult to actually come to the USA. That's a really difficult thing. However, every country around there has the exact same culture as Palestine. Why
Muslim.
doesn't Egypt take Palestinians? Oh, they did before, actually. Why doesn't Jordan, which actually 75% of what Palestine was exists in Jordan? Why doesn't Jordan take Palestinians?
Well,
oh, wait,
it's because
they have before.
refugees are an enormous drain on the system. And so saying, all right, you have to take these millions of people, most countries are going to go,
that's
Palestine. That's a
Palestine.
huge drain.
Jordan is literally 75% of what Palestine was is in Jordan. Now, if they want Jerusalem, I understand. Religion is powerful.
Mhm.
Israel gave half of Jerusalem to Palestine. They go to the same wall and pray. They're allowed to be there.
Is
You
the
could do
argument you're
that.
making that Israelis and Palestinians are equally unlikable and unpopular?
I'll tell you that, yes, right now, probably to the rest of the world, yeah. But like realistically, when 800,000 Palestinians had to move and they were kicked out, 800,000 Jews were kicked out of Arab countries at the same time in response. So this is the way that the cards fell. This is where we are. Saying like Israel isn't going to exist just isn't realistic because no country would do that. You would never rescind your neighborhood to Native Americans. You would never do that. That
Right.
didn't
Not
involve
without
you.
a fight.
Yeah,
Let
but
me
like
say, I'm allowed my black powder musket and my tomahawk, and I have seen Mel Gibson's The Patriot no less than 15 times. It would go poorly.
there's a lot of places that could take these people in, but they don't.
Filthy
So it's
savages.
Israel's responsibility. They don't want that. When I see that Hezbollah shot a rocket and killed a kid, I'm like, dude, leave them the fuck alone. You shot 9,000 rockets and killed one child. So I'm like, not that like feeling bad for a Hezbollah dude who got his pager blown up or walkie-talkie blown up, or a guy that went to go meet in a meeting. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
not either. To be
I
clear,
think
like
about
we don't care about Hezbollah.
of course, but it's just like
innocents are being killed in droves in these conflicts.
but like much more in Yemen.
Like 6
Do
million.
you know how many Muslims die in China, in Africa? But we only care about this is literally the smallest Muslim population affected out of all the Muslim like genocides that are happening. Uyghurs in China are literally thrown in concentration camps by the millions.
But Harley, we're funding the
that's what you're
Israeli
saying.
thing. That's my objection. I know
Well,
that
you're funding the Palestinian one too, by the way.
Right. And I sound biased sometimes because I'm always pointing out the Israeli mistakes. I get it. Sorry, Mom. But really, I just want to withdraw America from this conflict.
Yes.
Both sides are killing civilians. Both sides are bad. If this was Reddit, everybody sucks here.
So what do you do?
We
I don't
leave
do
the
a
Middle
darn
East
thing.
to
Let
their
me know when
shit.
it's over.
Yeah, I could not care less about Israel or Palestine or Hezbollah or Iran. Our involvement in this region of the world is a catastrophic failure.
You don't think it's a good idea to keep the straight
It's
up hormones working?
Horrible idea.
You don't like your electronics arriving in a timely
Oh yeah, we
fashion?
couldn't do that. We didn't have that for a long time prior to all this. And
You
so
don't like driving your
yeah,
internal combustion engine? Like,
what are you
gotta-
talking about?
I'm talking about
There's
securing the
a
Strait of
lot
Hormuz.
of things.
You know how oil works is we go to Saudi Arabia and we go, how much oil can we buy? And they go, here's the oil. The idea that we would go into the Middle East, spend $3 trillion on a war in order to buy $80 billion of oil is, if I spent $100 million on the most high-tech robbery equipment on earth to break into your house and steal everything you own, did I do a smart thing or am I retarded because I could have bought it off of you for much less? That's the situation in the Middle East. They are willing to sell us as much oil as we want.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm talking about what happens if we pull out and our aircraft carriers aren't there to let Iran know they better not do anything. Then Iran can respond, and then we have to go.
No, we don't. Not if we cut ties with all these countries that don't benefit us.
Just us all
I
alone
hear
on
Kyle,
the spill, I guess.
and the Strait of Hormuz thing. I'm like, maybe I'm being short-sighted because it is a major shipping channel, and apparently the whole world's supply chain gets messed up if one boat
Yeah.
goes sideways.
Israel
right?
doesn't secure
Trump
that.
pulled
We
some.
secure that.
U.S. secures that, and Trump
I'm
made some changes.
Continue.
Yeah, and so the idea that we need Israel to secure that is, I think, incorrect. Like
It's
the
just
whole what it seems to be in the Middle East is that
You're right.
you know,
it's definitely incorrect. That's not what I
Iran.
said.
So Iran
Okay.
wants a regional conflict with Israel,
No, they don't.
but no. But they don't want a conflict with the United States because the U.S. will dominate Iran. We may have a ton of losses. It'll cost $1 jillion, but we will win in the end. And so the idea is that, however, if Israel and Iran engage in a purely regional conflict, Iran will likely win that because they're a larger nation. So what Israel wants is for the U.S. to intercede on their behalf in this conflict because Israel cannot defeat Iran by themselves, but we will easily
Do you think
defeat
Israel
Iran.
has nuclear weapons?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think Iran might.
Iran doesn't.
They might. You know, you
There's
never
like
know.
the type to be able to, if they have it, they've never tested it.
Iran
And if
has
you've
something
never
worse than
tested
nuclear
it-
weapons.
If
So
you've never
Iran-
tested it, you can't. You don't have a nuke.
Iran has ballistic missiles and they have fissile material. They could make a dirty bomb. There was this idea rather that came about in the early 50s. And actually even before that, it was written about in Popular Science magazine called Death Sand. And the idea is irradiating a lot of sandy particles with an irradiate that has a half-life of say 70 days or 150 days. There's several really potent radioactive materials that are like that. And then dropping huge clouds of sand over an area, and it would kill everyone there in a few days.
That's incredibly scary.
And then after a few months, it's no longer irradiated. None of the structures were blown up because again, you're using a radioactive material that every 70 days it becomes half as radioactive.
Sorry if I missed it. Iran is researching this, or we figured this out?
Oh, this was our thing.
Oh, this is our. Of course, it is.
We almost used this on the Chinese in North Korea to deny an area to them like 100 miles long. Was it 100 miles wide? Because that seems extreme.
How
It was
do
like
we
100
move that
miles
much
wide.
sand?
You wouldn't use actual. Well, we're good at that. If anybody's good at moving a lot of like stuff and dropping it somewhere, it's have you seen that Galaxy plane that we use to ship stuff? They put smaller planes in it. They flies tanks around.
It's a plane that flies planes.
It's a plane that flies planes that fly planes. It's great.
There's an autistic listener right now, like, or
Dude,
he's
I'm
like,
right
it's
here.
the Lockheed C5 Galaxy, large military transport designed and built by Lockheed.
So I've always said that like Iran.
Can I see a picture of the Galaxy plane, Zach?
Yeah,
It's
show
so
that
fun.
plane. Show it, and if you can find like its wheels, like rotate 360 degrees and pop,
Mhm.
and they also the plane can squat. It's enormous.
How
it's
much?
gargantuan. But anyway, with the Israel's always at the UN showing a ticking clock of like how long it'll be till Iran has their nuclear weapon, and they call that like Israel's doomsday. And I just don't think that Iran is wanting that business because they could do something like I just described with a ballistic missile
It
that they
doesn't
have
even
plenty
look
of.
big. I think I've been on bigger planes than that. Am I crazy?
Yeah,
Oh,
How
they
big is
definitely
this
want.
thing?
They
there's
definitely
a
want nuclear.
helicopter in the back.
Yeah, but
They
a
definitely want nuclear
747 has like 2
capabilities, though.
floors and stuff. Like it. Am I? I need to Google.
I mean,
it looks
come on,
big.
dude.
Yeah.
It looks like the blue whale of planes. Look at the landing gear down there. How there's like lots and lots of wheels. Oh my
I did
God.
see a
There's,
plane
like,
on the
multiple
side that
Abrams
looked like
tanks.
it could fit in there.
That's crazy.
Under the
and
wing, there was like
the world's
a
biggest
stealth
plane that ever
drone-looking
flew
plane.
was in Ukraine. The Russians destroyed it. I can't remember the name of it. That's crazy. That's like
such a tight fit.
yeah, that's like a smaller plane fuselage or whatever. Like the whole structure going in. That's cool. Yeah, I bet we've got a bunch of those. I bet we don't have 5. I bet we got 50 or something stupid like that.
That's the craziest thing is I looked at like the capabilities of the U.S. Army, and there were things that were like on par, like men, the amount of infantry and blah blah blah. Sometimes U.S. getting destroyed. Then it went to like boats and airplanes, and it was multitudes more. You're just like, whoa, there's so many fucking planes, so many fucking boats, like crazy carriers. But I spoke to a friend of mine who's on a boat, like a ship, U.S. Navy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sometimes we do like these like ride bys, where like we know that we're like patrolling water, and the Chinese are patrolling, and like we'll be coming up to the Chinese ship. And so we're all told to like go to our stations, and we're all there, and we like slowly pass them and like look at them, and they look at us, and like we're like 50 meters away from each other, which is really close in these big boats, and they're just like cruising by each other. And I'm like, that's so crazy. I'm like, is there anything ever like anything crazy out there you see? He's like, well, he was like, I don't know if the upper people already know about this and have sorted it out or whatever. He's like, but we've been there before, and we'll always know that, you know, a Chinese ship is going to come over the horizon in like 5 minutes. We'll see that. But what's happened lately over the past like year or so is we'll be out there, and then all of a sudden we see a Chinese ship with our eyes, probably like, you know, 600 meters away. But the problem is, if you see it, it's too late. And it never showed up on our readings before we saw it by eye. So I don't know if like the higher ups know of a new technology or something or whatever it is.
Chinese.
But he's like, for us, it's fucking weird when all of a sudden there's a big ass Chinese ship there that's as big as ours, and we didn't know it was going to be there, and now we see it. And it's probably, if you're in that position, you're like, oh shit, like, surprise, are we getting attacked? Like, that's probably like,
I have 100% confidence in the United States military.
Me too, especially the Navy.
Have you seen that manta ray thing they have now?
Does it scare you though that like eventually that won't be the case?
It never will be the case.
That's
if
what
you keep
Roman
pushing for
said,
it, bro, that's exactly what'll happen, Taylor.
How long did Rome last? How long did Rome last?
1,000 years. Well,
right,
from like, well, the Roman kingdom in like 700 BC up until the fall of the main Roman Empire.
That we only have 750 years left.
No, there's never been a democracy that's lasted longer than 270 years, right?
Is that us?
No, we're
not a democracy, Taylor.
I haven't done
know that.
Oh my god!
We're a
you know what scares me? What's a great, I think it's a good question though that he asked.
I make that distinction because I'm a Republican.
I think it's actually like when I think of it, like I think it's scary the future being different than the one that I thought we were going towards, and it is like, you know, like I said, I love living in Montreal. I love Canada. It is a mosaic of cultures, and I love that. But here is here, and I don't want here to stop being here. And I fear that in the future, that thing that here won't be here. Here will be more like somewhere else.
I looked it up, Kyle. I went full autism on this thing. It looks like a galaxy is about 20% bigger than a 747.
I bet the lift capacity.
That's true. We are the longest existing democracy as the U.S. in global history.
There's a good book here I linked. It's called The Next 100 Years. Very interesting stuff. He talks about, I don't know.
The first note is like we're pretty much almost there.
Just one last thing. On the plane, my autism demands this.
Yes.
747 carries the space shuttle around. Just saying.
Not anymore.
And also, Woody, I would love if you would lead into facts more often with my autism demands this. It's a very funny way to preface the sentence. My autism demands this, but that is a tortoise, not a turtle.
It's just how you should ask to get. It's just ask how you should like start intimacy with your wife.
You know what?
My autism is demanding something,
and their fucking propaganda, spilling some knowledge.
Hey,
shout out to Woody's mom, though. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight. We're doing it for the future, for you,
He's gonna trade
for everyone.
Shout out to Mossad.
Dude, I know we're wrapping up.
To the troops, call, both sides.
There was a point where she saw this Palestinian mother interviewed, and she was very happy about the damage they were doing to the Israelis. And my mom was like, they should kill her baby because that's what happened to the Israelis. And then like 10 minutes later in the call, my mom was celebrating the death of the Palestinian deaths, in civilians. And I'm like, Mom, you can't kill your son to make this fair. Like if you're going to celebrate innocent deaths, then
dude, I've had family members say some crazy shit about all this stuff. And I've heard it's an older generation thing. Like if you really think about it, they were far more disconnected than we were. I mean, they grew up like in wrestling. It's just like, or movies. The bad guy was a person from another country. That's it. That's all. Just a person from another country. And
it always is.
It is. It is, but like it's true. Like I've heard relatives say some fucked up stuff, and I'm like, dude, we agree, but what you're saying is that's a whole other level.
Tristan.
Him and Brock.